Other than Jared?
I believe so.
All right, I'll call the meeting to order. Join us in the pledge, please.
Just right there. Right on time.
There you go.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I think with the chief here, I'll take the agenda out of order and make a motion to go into non-public under 91A 23I, security.
Second motion.
Motion second, all in favor? Aye.
Okay.
Brown eye. Meeting.
The last subcommittee meeting. I reviewed them. I didn't see anything that needed to be amended or omitted. So I will make a motion.
I have a couple here.
Can I make the motion and you second it for discussion?
Okay, was that, did you make that? Thanks, Wayne. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'll make a motion.
Thanks, chief. Thanks
Thank
for
you,
coming.
Chief.
I'll
Thank you,
stop by
Chief.
and get you that information.
Okay.
Okay. So my motion is to approve the minutes. But
I'll second it for discussion. What was it? Where was it? I should have.
extra.
Oh, where was it? Michael,
Yes, sir.
on the second page, the second to last sentence, he would like to set up a meeting with the original team to see if there needs to be, I think you need to take out the word "and," to be more, needs to be more
Upgrades.
upgrades done to security. And where was the other one? I should have.
You talking about would like Andrew to see those numbers? Or should he share those numbers?
Yes, share. Yep.
Where
Get that,
Second paragraph, Second line, Steve recalls, and Andrew to share those numbers as opposed to see those numbers. If Andrew has those numbers to share.
I can't believe another one on.
Next paragraph, second line towards the end of it, it says which ones are priority and which ones we could be put on for all. We could be put on hold for a year. Should it be which ones we
Could
put on hold, not B, strike B.
Or strike we.
Which ones we could put on hold for a year.
Which ones are a priority and which ones could be put on hold for a year.
Strike we and B.
I think we did.
We and B.
You're learning my speakish?
A little bitish. That's Portuguese, isn't it?
Yes, it's Polakish. So both words, Steve, you want to strike?
Yes.
About prior to my motion to adjourn that meeting, Steve informed Ralph the two awnings on the back doors are being fixed. Should that be fixed?
Yes.
ED, add an ED to fix. I read backwards faster than I read forwards.
On the first page, the second paragraph after kitchen roof, third line up that starts with Bob also mentioned that the construction prints would make, instead of made, the contractor will take metal roofing. Anything else?
Well, build
ING.
should be ING on build.
Anything else?
No, I would like to make an amendment to my motion to approve the minutes as amended.
I will amend my second. Motion second, all in favor? Aye.
Did, who's you? Oh, okay. Andrew raised his hand, I thought he had a question.
I'm also gonna make a motion to seal the non-public of the facility subcommittee meeting.
I'll second that. For this afternoon's.
This afternoon, today's non-public. Motion to seal.
I'll second that.
Motion second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Public comment. Seeing none. Window replacement update.
We have not received an estimate at this time for replacement of the windows. We were unable to get the estimate in time. The original request came before the holidays. I don't believe we received one from Granite State. We also looked into Sigco, was the company, and they only sell to retailers.
I just received this today from Granite State, and it's just, it's not a replacement, it's just on one section, so
Okay.
just handed that out to you guys so you can understand what the section is on the map and what this would actually cover. We also asked them for filming, a quote on filming, so we could also do that.
Just for clarification, the request was for replacing the windows, correct? So the whole units. Was that correct? That's what we were looking at.
That was, I think, kind of the idea behind it.
As opposed to filming the old windows, which would have to be replaced anyway.
Right. I think what came in is actually the tracking around the old windows.
Right, from review. So Joe did the walk around with Granite State, so when you talk to that, then what Mike's recommendation was.
Yeah, and what it was with Mike's recommendation is that section of the building, the windows were okay, but it's the ballasts that were gone and the weather stripping and the parts of the tracking that needed to be drilled out and the rivets gone and stuff like that. And he said it would be cheaper for us to go that route in order to do replacement. And it'd be more cost effective and everything like that for us. He says, if you want to do replacement, we can do replacement. He goes, but these windows, that section of windows that I'm looking at right now are okay. Not to say when we get around to the back of the building or down the further end, there might be some replacements there. But where it was such a quick time, I just had him do that one section for a quote, so we had some type of numbers.
And what section are we?
If you look on the back page, you'll see the map that Bob and I had gone around and drawn this out. So section A is right by the principal's office. And then if you go to the left of that main entry door there, section B is the nurse's office, kindergarten, and kindergarten. And this quote only covers that section. We have another section B, which is the 5th grade wing, which has nothing to do with that. This price has nothing to do with that section B.
Joe, do you have extra copies?
I do.
Of Bonnie and Bob?
Sure.
Does that also include section A?
They'll tell you on the
Yes, it
second
does.
page too. They'll tell you what it
So
includes.
section A and part of B.
Section A and part of B, the left side of B.
Location and stuff.
What about longevity wise, are they, I mean, to go this route,
It's aluminum clad, so it's never gonna rust. You know, that would be the one concern that I think that would have some concern with it. All the rest of it's gonna be, the guts are gonna be good. The only other thing they might have go wrong with it is the gases and the gaskets with the gases in the middle. Mike from Granite State, he's the professional on it. He seemed to think everything was, in that section was good. And with more time, if you'd like, I mean, I can get a replacement on the vehicle. Because we're gonna have it back to do the whole building again, but we just ran out of time. I know you're trying to get this to the voters.
right? But I think, as we discussed, I think that other section would be important to look at too. Try to get some firm numbers.
The rest of.
The rest of B
The rest of
and
A,
E,
yeah.
Right.
where you were talking about possible.
Mr. Brown?
Yes,
The original request, my understanding, was to get an estimate for the front of the school as one section, and then the entire school as the other part of the estimate.
right.
So if we're looking at getting an estimate for replacing the windows, we'd want basically either the front as one part of the estimate or the whole school as the other part of the estimate.
Okay.
That was the original request.
Right, but I mean, if, you
And I
know,
was trying to get that, just time was
Yeah,
tight.
it's tight.
but I mean, if, you know, if they think they're gonna last, I mean, you know, I just had a concern, you know, at the age that they, you know, you don't wanna throw good money at bad, and so that was my concern with it, but.
So with that estimate, basically they'll review the current status of the windows, just as you said the gentleman's name was Mike.
Yes.
They'd let us know if the windows are still in good shape.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, so the first priority would be complete the analysis of the whole front of the building, right?
Correct.
Right.
And then the whole building.
Okay.
That's gonna put us,
You could almost see 2.5 times the lineal distance, so it could be 2.5 times that price. It could,
For the front.
yeah, for the front.
we haven't set anything up with the budget committee yet, have we, Andrew, as far as warrant articles?
No, not yet.
And we have the January 14th. I believe it's the 14th. So, well, I guess
January
we,
14th is the last date for petition warrant articles. And your last date to post warrant articles is January 27th.
the problem I see is, you know, the time left that we have. I guess we'll have to discuss it with the board and, because I'm thinking, our next meeting will be the 18th, which would normally be a policy subcommittee. But we need to get these things finalized so we can get these warrant articles together. So whether, like I said, we'll probably have to talk to discuss it with the whole board about maybe possibly having we need a facilities committee meeting on the 18th?
You could do it as a full board, and I was going to recommend that we start at 4 without a policy meeting.
Without a policy meeting? Yeah, well, that's what I was kind of getting to with these warrant articles. I think we're gonna need to try to get something finalized there so we can move forward.
Sure.
Okay, so we'll discuss that with the full board. New parking lot estimate, CMI proposal.
In your packet, you have two proposals, one from CMI and a more general proposal from Harriman, just to review, see what give you an approximation what the numbers would be to do just the parking lot.
Oh, okay.
So on the CMI proposal, you
Is it-
see that Area 1, that's basically, they phase this in different phases, Area 1, Area 2, Area 3. Area 1 would be that is just the parking lot and the cost.
I think that's GMI, not CMI.
No, I think it's
GMI.
GMI.
Is it GMI? I thought it was CMI.
It's GMI
Is it?
asphalt.
Oh, GMI, okay.
Not
I
that it's-
did notice a couple of, they have restriping in a number, it's in Area 2, Area 3. I was wondering whether they,
I don't think we should strip a gravel lot.
It's in area 3 also, whether it was duplicated or not.
Well, that was if, I think that's if it's paved.
If it's what?
Isn't area 3 for the paving part of it? Like if you,
Roadway
Yeah,
and
'cause that was
sidewalk.
Taylor, yeah, so that's-
No, because, in area 1, it's asphalt pavement.
yeah,
No. And I don't get area 3, roadway,
That would be the existing Taylor Way, right?
but that's a town road.
still, I just put it in there because if this project was gonna be able to be taken off and go and do the whole thing, crazy to pave a parking lot and a roadway and then leave this piece here not done and then bring the guys in 2 years later and go, oh, I'm just gonna use that parking lot to turn around up there that you just paved. I just did the whole package.
And we can,
That's up to
Pick
you
and
guys
choose
to do
what you need.
want, you know.
Right.
I just put it all together to say, here's your finished product.
yeah, on page 2, it says area 3 gravel loop, so I imagine that's the road around the backside. And it does talk about striping the parking lot area, but I don't imagine we'd need to stripe the gravel parking lot.
So it wouldn't be a gravel.
It wouldn't be gravel anymore, it'd be paved.
Doesn't say any paving, does it? It's talking about fine grade compact gravel loop. I don't see.
Supply and install machine paved asphalt.
Okay, there you go, yeah. Okay. So that would be a base, like a base coat, not really the full bore.
I think in there, I don't have mine in front of me, but I think it's 2 inches of base and one finish. 'Cause if you're just gonna do a base coat, it's still gonna be porous, you're still gonna get cracking and everything,
Mm-hmm.
so you don't really wanna put a
Okay.
top coat on it.
1 inch, yeah, you're right, it says 2 inches and
Yeah,
then
2.
1, yeah.
Now, what about the, it has been mentioned, and I don't think I would even use this word, but it has been mentioned about an addition. In paving and then tearing up the pavement. So, like I said, I wouldn't even use the word, I mean, I can't see an addition even be thought of and probably, but the way things are today, I mean, 20 years, I wouldn't even think you'd be looking at something like that. But to that extent,
And to that, I mean, if that ever does, anything ever does come of that, who says we can't go up instead of going out?
but then we lose the swimming pool.
Make a nice executive office up there, but.
What about Harriman's numbers?
It's an email, so it's a sheet that follows, right? Yeah. That's it, yeah.
Page 6.
I think it's a lot more money than people realized it was gonna be.
It's today's world.
Well, these are all, this project is still open to the bidding process.
Absolutely.
And I believe that's what you're looking at here, is just strictly budgetary numbers.
Something to throw at the voters to see whether or not it's something they want to swallow.
I just think it's the initial cost of the property. I think that's kind of skewing things in people's opinions, they look at, well, you buy the property for $50,000, now you're gonna spend, 10 times that amount on just making it into a park lot. I think that's where people are, I mean, to me, it's a lot of money. It's a lot more money than I thought it would ever be. Mike.
Mr. Chair, I guess I think we should be clear for the public that, you know, you mentioned $500,000 has been thrown out there. You mentioned 10 times the $50,000 to pay for the property. In both of these rough estimates, you're looking at anywhere between $200,000 and $300,000 just to do the parking lot. So that $500,000 number that came out in the past really included basically all of these areas that were
Right.
mentioned in the proposal. It wasn't just the parking lot. So I just want to make sure that we let the public know that just the parking lot alone is anywhere, rough estimate between $200,000 and $300,000. It's still a lot of money.
That's my
Yes, sir.
point. It's still a lot of money.
But
I think
I know the $500,000 was put out there,
Right.
so I just want to make sure that people
Right.
are clear that just the parking lot alone is not 500.
But irregardless, it is a lot of money, and I just
Sir.
think it's that perception that people have, I was never expecting these numbers. But they are what they are, unfortunately, apparently, but I still have a problem with,
You'll get a lot better numbers once it goes out to bid, I can guarantee you.
well, you would hope. And yeah, these are guidelines, but, you know, they're still big numbers. You know.
An average of 385,000. 385, 187. 182.
I don't know, thoughts about the subcommittee making a recommendation to the board, or?
I'd like to share it with the rest of the board and come up with a consensus. You know, I haven't got a recommendation for the full board.
The heating loop tie-in update, boiler replacement estimate.
What you do have from Granite State Plumbing and Heating is looking at putting a high efficiency boiler, and I'll be meeting with the same rep to work on getting the data for the estimate for the heating loop this Friday. So that will be forthcoming after that. So we'll have that, we'll be able to compare then a conventional boiler, high efficiency boiler, and the heating loop, and look at the different options.
And this is a high efficiency.
This one is high efficiency.
So we can't really go in a direction yet until we know what the cost would be to tie in the loop.
Right.
No,
And then the sidebar to that is, out of all of this is, you know, some anticipating savings that we would have from going from oil to propane, should propane beat oil, you know, going into the future, multiple years in a row.
And this proposal here looks like it's for an oil-fired boiler.
No, it's
Did they-
remove the oil.
Yeah, okay, I see that word. That's a big word right there. Very big.
You just have to read it backwards.
Yes. Well, the first word always is the last one I read.
So I think Andrew and I can then work on the numbers on a spreadsheet too, to just try and give you an idea then of looking at, if you want, say, 10 years out for the conventional boiler, high efficiency boiler, and then the heating loop. You know, just so you can get an idea what that would look like with, you know, because we'll get, what I had roughed out, is an estimate of, say, about $3,500 a year based on this year's oil and propane prices if we flip the propane, okay, going forward.
That would
You
save
know,
3,500?
would save 3,500 a year. So that's, no
As
matter,
of,
so no matter what we do, when we implement a project, whatever project we choose, of the three, you would anticipate that much savings to be applied to any one of those projects. So then the board can see, if we look at it 10 years or so, which one has a better payback and which way we'd want to go.
3,500 savings a year at
Today's,
today's numbers that we're locked into
correct.
through June 30th?
of 2014.
Correct.
So it just gives us a baseline,
Right.
because we certainly can't predict the future oil prices and propane prices.
Now, are we absolutely positive that the two gas-fired boilers have enough capacity to handle that additional move?
Yes.
There's plenty in it? I mean, are we borderline? Are we,
No,
Do we have
it's not
plenty to-
borderline.
plenty to spare on it?
Because
Or
the 2 units that are up there now is double the capacity of the whole space minus the primary wing that we're talking about replacing the boiler in it. So you have a 100% buffer. And we're only looking at 8,000 feet that we want to heat with our current two boilers, if we choose to go that way.
And Andrew, could you also, with factoring this in, could you also factor in, because you're not, factoring in the piece that you're not getting the BTUs out of propane that you are with oil? So could we get that factored into the equation also, the difference in the BTUs between propane and oil, please?
The savings that I estimated at $3,500 a year takes that into account. Because it has I'm using the BTUs for propane and oil and doing the calculation.
So the additional BTUs from oil is already factored into that?
To get to that number, that's how I get to, if I didn't use those numbers, I wouldn't be able to predict the $3,500.
Right, the 3,500 includes all that.
Right.
Alright. Yeah, I see you got a, White Mountain survey here, Jones. You do-
Yep, that just came in also. 'Cause you guys were looking for numbers on that lot next door. So,
You have to fast forward to page 3 under fees if you're trying to speed read. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a huge number.
I talked with our local guy that we were talking to, and he hasn't called me back, so that's an indication that he doesn't want to do it.
Now, we only have to shoot that one line, correct?
If we want to utilize the historical surveys.
Harriman Architects gave us a packet of what they wanted. And I just forwarded that on and said, this is what the architect's looking for. And that was in that original spec there, I believe.
Because we also needed the existing elevations, tying the lot, everything
I didn't know existing color, it's just the whole deal. It's a little more than just going over there with a bulldozer and plowing down a lot and paving it. There's a lot more into it than that.
Well, right, but I was just saying, but, to have, someone come in and just, because that one line is really the only line that would be in question. The rest of it's already surrounded by school property and road. So maybe we wouldn't have to have the whole thing surveyed.
you wouldn't have to have the whole thing surveyed, because the only point of contention ever would be the boundary line separating the school property from
Next door.
that above the property. Be no contention over the other lines, because school, unless we wanna argue with ourselves, I guess. I do that all the time.
All right, Mr. Tercey,
Yes, sir.
are we all clear as to what we're going to need for the 18th, hopefully? We have our final numbers.
What I have is the estimate. We're still looking for the estimate for replacing the windows in the front or the whole building, correct? That'll be part of a warrant article potentially.
Right, but now we're also the piece that, that Joe gave us here about repairing.
Correct, so it's part of the, that'll be part of the whole estimate, so
Right, both.
they might say that you don't need to replace this section
Right,
of windows, so that'll be part of that estimate.
okay. And,
As well as getting the, and that's a estimate still for tying in the loop. And my understanding, the plumber just hasn't been able to make it out here yet to give us that estimate.
Right, yeah, we get messed up because of their vacation schedule and holiday and such, so we're unable to put that together yet.
So we could have that for the 18th, that would, based on their schedule, hoping we have that for the 18th. Are there any other items, Mr. Chair, that you feel you need?
no, I think that takes care of it. I just want to make sure we're on the same page, so hopefully we can get these numbers finalized and move on with our warrant articles. Anything else, Mr. Bob?
No, I,
Anybody else have anything?
Also, thank you.
we'll go back to the public comment part of the agenda.
I think we've already done that. And, so I will make a motion to adjourn the facility subcommittee. And we sealed the non-public, correct?
Correct.
So I'm set there.
I'll second the motion.
You can't second the motion, Henry.
He can't?
No, he can't. Mr. Fall can't.
So we have to stay, if the motion fails, I'll second the motion. Just for discussion.
Did you roll call? I didn't get a roll call.
Harvey?
Did you take the roll call?
On-
The minute?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
Are you sure?
I said Brown, yes.
Yes, you
I think
did.
you said Fogg, aye.
Okay.
Yes, you did.
So, yes.
Move the question on the adjournment, please, Mr. Chair.
Well, I'm waiting for a second
I did.
board member Fogg.
For discussion, okay, discussion's over. Move the question.
Okay. Motion second to adjourn, all in favor? Aye.
I can't wait.
Thank you.
What? Pledge allegiance?
Call the meeting to order. Get on with the
Just that
order of business. Deciding your what?
I wish I could pledge allegiance, but I can't.
Come on. Might want to start us off, Ralph?
Thank you.
All right, I'll call the meeting to order.
Where's the flag?
Join us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
No, you can come over.
No, I'm good.
Sorry, I'm just gonna spread.
This obviously isn't mine. It's got no eraser.
I don't know where that came from.
take it we don't have an agenda to go by? Or we just gonna
As a
wing what
workshop?
we're gonna do?
I haven't seen one. We were gonna do warrant articles tonight. That was what was gonna be on the agenda.
Yeah, it's established as a work session, so
And we gotta do
the
the
budget work session.
the manifest. Jerry, you know what all this Apple is?
Is it, looks like probably some MacBooks, iPads. Yeah, it's a employee purchase. The district pays for it, and it comes out of the teachers' paychecks over the course of the rest of the year. That does happen. Is that something that the school board should utilize too? Or would it be advisable to, well, I mean, it's kind of, that would be kind of like my approach. School board paying back if we got one. Is that something that we should consider?
But Steve, before I say that, yeah, how many, what's, can I just take a look, just take it real quick? So we did have
You know,
new apples come in for the teachers, so we wouldn't out of budget, so maybe that also, so take a look. I couldn't tell by the description here, but we do have two things. We did have the new MacBooks that were part of last year's budget process, or this year's budget process. So we had authorized 8 MacBooks for the teachers to replace their aging computers. And so we waited until now to get them, as the new computers from Apple came out about 3 weeks ago, and we wanted to wait. We knew there were new ones coming, so we didn't want to have old computers, or last year's computers. We got this year's computers.
Can I ask a question in regards to Harriman Architectural?
That's a $47.
IDEM?
Yeah.
I love that. For the 234320, is that what the invoice was for them to come in and do their design?
That was
It's half of the 4,500,
Half of it?
and there was a small, couple dollars they charged us, I forget what it was for, but it was $22.50 for to do the plans, and then we'll pay the other $22.50 when they're finished. So if you look at the invoice, we only got charged $22.50 for the site plan.
So it's like a $97.20 overage, right? Or on top of the $22.50, it's a difference of 90. Oh, let me get my math skills out here. I think it's 97.
So, Steve,
Yeah.
so if we're paying $4,500 to Harriman, the survey is another 6 on top of that?
If we,
If that's the lowest bid, or the
Well,
accepted bid,
Anything over the $4,500 is more money to this.
outside and above, yeah.
yeah, but that 4,500 didn't cover surveying.
No.
I guess,
9320 was.
I guess I really, as a board member, I really want to make sure that, I know the process that this is supposed to take. I don't want to take additional steps and waste taxpayer money. And I know you don't either, but in a project like this, I know how it would be done for a house. I don't know what it's supposed to be done, like, I don't understand why we haven't gotten like a local contractor to come in and demo that already. I guess, and I don't see, I can't imagine paying $310,000. I understand that it's heavy construction, but I can't imagine that, I mean, you might have to separate it out and just have it done and have it come in. But that's a hell of a lot of money to spend on demoing a construction company that I could literally come in with my excavator and knock over for fun. Or we could give it to the fire department to have a controlled burn and then just clean up the debris.
They won't do it.
Oh, they won't do it because of the.
Not
all right,
unless you take the
asbestos
glass.
or whatever.
If you take the glass and the shingles out of it, they'll do it.
But there has to be something that we can do, and I want to know who the professional is on our panel that is saying, this is step 1, this is step 2, this is step 3, this is step 4, and this is what the outcome is.
So
Because
in the breakdown of each thing, you're saying?
I want to know what steps it's going to take to get us to where we need to be, and I feel like we're fluffing around. I don't think that this should take this long, and I think that we're spending money that we don't need to spend.
It almost seems like we're forced to spend that $200,000 to $300,000 because we're guessing this is what it's gonna cost, without really getting local input too.
I mean, it's gonna go out to bid. This is just one company's opinion.
But why, who picked that one company? And like, what's the process? Is there a history that can tell us what the process is, or who is our construction? Is it Bob that's our construction professional? And has he done a project like this before? And maybe if he doesn't, he needs an advocate. I always need to get advice from other people because I might not know the right steps to take, but there has to be something.
I mean, I get to have a total, but I personally think you would need kind of a breakdown. I mean, to take the building down, what is that gonna cost? I'd like to know exactly what that part of that project's gonna cost.
And right now, the ground's frozen, so the septic's frozen. You can't do that now. You can't dig the septic out.
Oh, you could.
Well, you could, but I mean, it's a spring project now.
There's some people that come in, pump the tank, and if it's gonna be subgrade, they'd collapse that tank and backfill it because it's concrete and rebar. I mean, there's a lot of
But there's-
cost-cutting measures.
There is, but I mean, you can't tell me that one of our area construction people wouldn't come in and demo that.
Being in the field, I think it would be a conflict of my interest to
I mean, I understand that, but I don't
Not if it's
I
gonna-
don't like
not if
not
it's gonna
knowing what
save
the process is.
$100,000.
Sorry.
It would save a lot of money, more than.
But we have,
So I think the reason we're at this point, Bonnie, is because we're trying to get a number to throw at the taxpayers. But then, once the bid process, the bidding goes through the process, and we have a more accurate number.
I don't know if that's honest to the taxpayers to just throw a number out there to them without having our ducks in a row. And sadly, because we had so much transition, maybe it's not gonna happen this year.
And like what I heard Steve say a few minutes ago in the facilities meeting was, we pay $50,000 for the land and we're spending 10 times as much to take it apart? You gotta be kidding me. You know, tell the taxpayers that, see what they say, you know?
but Andrew, how much money, what do we have a little over 10 left in the warrant article?
No, because
For the land?
Yes,
I don't think so, we spent it.
no.
Yeah, we spent 56,274.
The 4,500 off of the 9,225.
This is the, here you go.
And at 4725 left.
Page.
In the trust fund for the land is 13,725 left.
How come on this one, we have a different number then? You gave us, where are you getting that number from?
On the trust fund that was
Where
sent
is
up
that
with the
one?
warrant article.
Did you read that?
Right there. Back page.
So where do we get this number from, the 9,225? This is what we were given during budget season.
That was as of that date. These
So how did
numbers
we
are
get
running
more
concurrently.
money?
That's probably the 4,500 that we're
4,500 is out
gonna
of there.
spend.
4,500 has a bit, you just seen the check was the first check tonight, so that doesn't include the 4,500.
So
You take the
that's,
4,500 out, you're down to 9,200.
Right.
that's what that is.
The 13,725 minus 45 is 9,200.
9,225.
Okay, I don't understand this. Andrew, can you come explain? I see that all this money's here, but I don't get it.
70,000, there's 13,725, 48 left. Subtract the 4,500 from that, gives you the
I
9225.
know, but this isn't labeled. How do you know that this is, this school
Labeled at the
land?
top, you've got
Okay,
the month,
okay, all right.
Yes.
Can I ask why we didn't have this information last week? Why are we looking at this the first time today?
I think because we didn't ask for it prior to the last meeting. I mean,
I don't know if it goes there, but. Mr. Tercey?
At the last meeting, it was requested to have a budget work session for warrant articles. When I spoke with Mr. Brown last week, he requested that we bring all 3 years' worth of warrant articles as well as a budget breakdown of our current funds, and that's what we brought this evening.
Okay.
yeah, and I just, Andrew,
All right, can we,
I've got two for 2011.
We need to make a motion to
yeah,
get that out of the way.
is everyone, anybody have questions on or everyone all set on the manifest? Yeah, so, everyone's all set, can I have a motion to accept the manifest, please?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's my error, I inadvertently made copies of the same warrant article.
So you got doubled up on the 11s.
Yeah,
Do you want 13s? Do you have it with you, Andrew? Or do you want it?
and this is, I made 2 copies of 11 instead of 13.
Do you want 13s to copy so they can
Yeah,
have one?
I'll go make copies of that, the copy machine.
Unless you guys already have copies?
Don't have mine with me.
Thanks.
All right, why don't,
So what was voted on in 2012 is what we're spending this year, is that right?
It was voted on in March of 2012.
Right. Or February?
That was good.
You need to say something about that.
Actually, that's 2012. Don't you have the 2012 warrant
Got the
article?
2012, yeah.
Now, when you look at this report, the trust funds, the security is not included in it because that was out of the year-end balance.
Yep.
So it wouldn't be with the trust, it would be a trust fund.
And that, didn't that take priority over the roof?
it wasn't, you said, Andrew?
It's not a trust fund because it was coming out of the year-end balance.
Right.
But just for your information, the balance in the security trust, the security warrant article is $8,319.
Can you run that
What was the number?
$8,319.49.
49 cents.
And so far, the only cost that were charged to the, that's all the expenses that have been incurred so far as of today. So we spent $91,680.51.
let's see, I think we can skip down to Article 7.
On which year?
2012.
Should we not be looking at 2013?
Well, yes, when he brings it back, but I think it should be kind of,
2012 is
Can
what
we-
we're spending this year.
I think one of the first things that we need to ask is who is gonna be,
No one stepped up yet.
so at what point, what do we do if we have no clerk?
I believe the moderator has to appoint one.
So who
Well,
is
you
gonna
have to
contact
endorse
Mr. Sager and ask him to appoint a moderator?
I would have to do that.
So that's gonna be on the to-do list?
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is this,
Really?
Yeah, and the other tools.
Oops.
I got them going backwards, sorry about that. Do you want one too, Jared? Yes, please.
Thank you.
Got your original one back, Bob?
Yes, I did.
No.
all right, so I think we can go, well, this is, but we're gonna have to probably go, because we don't, all the warrant articles aren't the same every year.
Oh, they,
If you look
no.
at this report, it shows you every year what warrant articles were. Now take it out of the year-end fund balance.
So, can I just ask, is the process for this, we start figuring out when the first session is by the calendar, the deliberative session? And do we go forward as a group and do this, or is this done by your office and we just figure out what the warrant articles are?
You,
Because the
as a
article,
board, you have to determine what the warrant articles are. I was sent the dates for what we have for the town has already set their dates for their public hearing as well as their deliberative session. So we need to establish what our dates will be, and then we provide that information to the local papers to post.
And aren't those dates that we set, they're somewhat dictated by the law, right? Isn't there something that,
Yeah, that's between March 1st and February 1st and February 8th. So February 7th would be likely, because usually you have Wakefield as their delivered on Friday night, which would be February 7th.
so it's February 7th.
And the town deliberative session is February 8th.
Saturday night usually, right? And is it gonna be at 7 o'clock
I think it would be.
in the multipurpose room?
It's on here too.
Hmm?
What Ralph just gave us? It's on that, right?
The same type of presentation, yes.
Well, it says the 8th, February 2013. Oh, this will be 14. Sorry.
Yep, this is gonna be 14.
This will be
That's
14.
why I'm just clarifying
Okay.
dates
Yep,
moving
okay.
forward.
In the school one, Bob, would be
I'm thinking the wrong
the
year.
next, the date earlier, because as the calendar goes.
And have they, the second, and do we know when voting's gonna be?
March,
Voting is March 4th.
March 4th? That's Tuesday?
the second Tuesday.
It should be the second, which would be the 11th, the second Tuesday of the March.
The annual report has to be done by March 4th, and the voting is March 11th, which is the second Tuesday.
I apologize, I gave you the backup date. It was February 8th. Their original date is February 1st for their deliberative session
For the town.
for the town. Saturday, February 1st.
So that means we would do March 31st?
No, we'd have to do February 8th as a backup for the deliberative session.
It's gonna be done in February.
No, we're talking the original meeting, and then we also set a backup.
Okay, but did you just say the town was the first?
Town is the 1st, and their backup is the 8th.
So if we do the
The
Friday
7th.
before, that means we would have to do,
7th.
March 31st, March 31st.
it would be March 31st. If this is the town, that would be us.
Why wouldn't we do it?
That would be our
February
snow date, like in case of a blizzard or something, that would be our backup date.
7th? Oh, because it's gotta be
Oops.
done by the
It's-
8th?
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Jan,
February
Jan,
8th.
Okay.
January
All right, yeah.
31st.
So, yeah, January.
January
30th.
31st. Okay, all right, guys, wow.
January 31st, and February 7th would be the backup date.
No, you can't have the deliberative session on January 31st. It has to start on February 1st.
So how do we
Correct.
do that and get them both in?
Well, if you have your deliberative session on Friday the 7th, your only option is February 8th. If I recall, last year, we asked the question, and if you, I have to check with our attorney, but I think you could have it later if you open up the meeting on the 8th, on the 7th, and postpone it to like February 15th, which I'd have it before a certain date in February.
Did we do that last year because of a blizzard? Didn't we have to postpone a date last
No,
year?
last year we had it on the, all the years I've been with the district, it's always been, we've always had the night, we scheduled it for Friday night.
Okay. And I'm sorry I'm asking all these questions, but I don't know, that's why I needed the workshop. And I'm confused already.
The,
It has to be done between February 1st and February 8th.
And does it have to be a Friday night?
that's what my question was.
It doesn't have to be Friday, but it's been
That's
the
been
town's,
what they've always done.
That's great, but if we don't have a backup date because the 1st and the 8th are clickety-clack right there and there's no other time, maybe you have to do it like Thursday or like Wednesday and Thursday, so that, or Wednesday and Friday, so that
Wednesday
the
and
town
Friday.
can have it, or Thursday and Friday, so the town can have theirs on Saturday. You can have it Thursday, and if you can't have it Thursday, you have it Friday.
I would be inclined to go with a Wednesday and Friday, because if it's snowing
Snow.
on Wednesday,
Mhm.
it might be still bad
Yep.
on Thursday.
Okay, so this is.
So Wednesday, February 5th?
Do we need to check with the town to make sure they haven't anything else scheduled? I mean,
Yeah, they're just asking for us to coordinate dates with them, so I need to get some dates, also for the public hearing.
okay, so the 5th or
And
the 7th.
we just want to make sure, probably, well, maybe we already have that information, but just to touch base with council and make sure we're within the timeframes that we need to be in.
well, these 5th and the 8th, you're fine. I mean, the 5th and the 7th, you're fine if it
Right.
works, because it has to take place between February 1st, Saturday the 1st, and Saturday the 8th.
Okay.
I do recall what I was told, if you open up the meeting, or if you decide to have a Friday night, you open up the meeting, and there's a snowstorm, someone has to open up the meeting and say, we're gonna reschedule it for Tuesday, the 10th or whatever. But you have to have the meeting opened up and postponed to another day before February 8th. I think you're safe in what you're saying to do is have the deliberative session on the 5th, and then,
Rain date or snow date, Friday, February 7th.
right.
Yeah,
Both
the-
at 7 o'clock here at the gym.
The public announcement at that opening of the meeting would be the same as a public posting, which has to be 48 hours in
Yeah.
advance of the meeting, I think.
Or you would do it up, you wouldn't know 48 hours in advance, you have to postpone the meeting.
Or is it 24, it might be 24 hours in advance, so
I don't know, let's check with legal counsel on that.
Which is the,
And for the public hearing, do you want to set that date this evening as well? Public hearing for the town is Tuesday, January 14th, and the backup is Wednesday, January 15th.
You have to have your public hearing, budget hearing no later than January 21st.
So what day did you say the towns did it?
14th, and their backup date is the 15th, January, 6:30.
And you're gonna be on the 8th and the 22nd, you have Milton, so you can't be here with us on those days.
Correct.
So maybe we do the 9th and the backup is the 10th. I don't know, or the 3rd and the 3rd and the 10th.
getting on my calendar. It's a smartphone.
Makes noises. See that what that was?
It's smart enough
Earlier
to
the
be
better,
quiet.
right?
You could have your public hearing as, you have a board meeting, what, on the 4th?
Could we have it
You
at
could have
that?
that public hearing instead of your board meeting.
Why don't we do that?
On the January 4th?
Isn't that your first meeting in January?
No,
No, that's
January
the
4th
4th
is a
is-
Saturday,
Be the 8th.
The 8th.
the 8th. Because the 1st, we wouldn't have one on the 1st.
So you could
So
do-
it would be the 15th,
You
because
could-
the 8th would be Milton.
So we could do the 8th, and you're back up on the 9th, like the
You
towns
wouldn't be able
do.
to be here with us, because
The
you're gonna be
9th?
in Milton.
On the 8th.
The 8th will be both
Yeah.
the third meeting.
So it would have to be the 15th. Is the 15th early enough?
15th is the town's backup, I think.
It has to be before the 21st.
Well,
You have to post it 2 weeks in advance. I mean, a week, 7 days in advance.
Why don't we do like the 9th and pick a backup?
15th.
Yeah, we could do that, I guess, 9 and 15 as a backup.
Did you say the town had their backup on the 15th?
Oh, yeah, they do it 6:30.
So we're gonna have to do the 16th.
What about the 9th and the 10th?
That's fine with me too.
Yeah, but
I
like,
can't-
there you go
can't be
again,
here
if you
on
do
the-
have, you have a storm, you're most likely not gonna be cleaned up by the
Right.
phone.
Yeah.
So why don't we do the 9th and the 16th?
Can you be here on Thursday, Bob? And are those both here or are they at the town hall?
They should be at the multi-purpose room.
They usually do the deliberative session and the public hearing in the multifunction room.
So January 9th. And what is the time?
It's
7.
7?
7 PM. January 16th. Back up.
All right.
Do we have any increases for contract CBAs this year that are going in? None?
I think we can go on.
And we're currently in negotiations with paraprofessionals.
Mhm.
As far as the warrant articles are concerned, the board will decide what warrant articles you want and the dollar amount, and I will write. So the board doesn't have to write the warrant article, I just need the dollar amount and what the warrant article's for, whether it's gonna be a trust fund or come out of the year-end reserve or year-end fund balance.
So I guess we can probably
So
go
on
with.
here, we're, say if we follow last year, we're going to this one
Yeah,
to
but-
approve the
But
budget?
that's really, looking at that, that's difficult to do because they're not all the same every year. So we might want to go by, I believe this would be easier to go by.
Perfect, okay. I just don't know, that's why I'm asking.
So the first one would be transportation that I haven't heard, but I'm assuming they're going to be looking for the 20,000 that has been put in.
Well, you got 48,000 there, so you're covered if you buy a van for $20,000 or $22,000.
But,
That's the scheduled rotation now, is the van?
well, but yeah, but don't we normally do more than, I mean, if they're not, I mean, are you sure they're not gonna be, they're only gonna, planning on replacing one vehicle?
I'm not 100% sure of that. Last year, we skipped putting the 20,000, no, we did put 20,000.
No, you
No,
put
we did.
20 in last year.
That's been what we've been putting it every year, is 20,000.
You had 25 in 2010, right? Was there a big purchase going on? Oh, maybe it was that van, 2-year lease, right? More than that.
77
But it's
passenger.
$48,000. Tim hasn't told us that he needs any more buses. We've already approved the leases for the new buses. he said that we're gonna be able to consolidate and get rid of one van. So at 48,105.15, if he buys a van or has to buy a van for 25 grand, we're still gonna have 25 grand in there. What is the expected balance that previous boards have wanted to have as a security net in that account?
I believe he's on a schedule to replace one large and one small bus.
I believe that was, like Bonnie said, that was a lease.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I mean,
And
as
that was in
far
the
as,
budget, that was in the bottom line budget, that's not in the warrant article, right?
Right, that's
So
right.
that doesn't come out of here. That comes out of the regular budget. We approved that in the budget. Didn't we?
We've got $18,000 in next year's budget for a bus,
Mhm.
leasing a bus.
Yep.
So the only thing, if we would have to purchase anything next year that I'm aware of would be a van, which we have sufficient funds in the trust fund right now to do that.
fine, then we don't need to put any money into that. The school roof,
How do they feel on that? Do they feel comfortable with that, not putting anything in?
I'm comfortable with that.
Okay.
are you all set with that, Andrew? You feel?
Are you comfortable with that, Andrew?
Yeah, I think we have, even if we had to get two vans, we still have enough money in there for that.
How do you feel?
It's fine.
And, well, we gotta remember, we're talking about spending money for 14-15,
Mhm.
right? Not 13-14.
Right, there's $18,000 in next year's budget for a
14,
lease.
budget.
I'm comfortable with not appropriating any money, so.
Okay.
If there's any, I'll verify it with Tim, but I think we should be okay.
Good. School roof,
They've been looking for 37.5 every year.
every year for 10 years,
But we've only put 37 in, right?
37 per year.
Okay. And we have one roof at this point in time, the back roof that he wants converted over to metal, is that correct? Has
Over
he,
the kitchen.
over the kitchen, has he given us estimates on that yet?
No, I think the discussion was, find out what is underneath the roof to be replaced, whether it's trusses or stick built.
Yep, and has he come to us with that yet? That was a month ago.
A couple of weeks ago. I
So
think it was,
how they propose to do that?
We got 65, almost 68, $66,000 that he put another 37. It'll be $100,000 to have more than enough to cover the roof for the kitchen.
So, I mean, because the price could be different if they have to rip
A roof
the
off.
whole roof off.
which,
Right, but this is kind of like an ongoing thing. There's more roof to be done besides the roof over the kitchen. So that's, they're doing sections of it each year. So, I mean, that's the way it was sold into the people of the town, is that for 10 years, they would put $37,000 away, which would take care of the entire roof.
Okay, so if I'm listening to what you're saying, we have 65 in there now, we're gonna ask for 37 more. With those monies, it'll be like a little over one. That will cover the roof over the kitchen and leave money in case of an emergency for the remaining roof that's there,
Or another section.
or another section of the roof.
Correct.
So it's maintenance,
Roof repairs.
roof repairs,
Right, yeah,
or roof upgrades.
upgrades. so-
Upgrades, maintenance.
Right.
when was this first established? In 2011, right?
2012,
11, 12.
fiscal year 2012.
Hmm.
Okay.
I
On the
think
last day
that
of the year,
the
on the last
building-
day of the year, yeah.
Hmm?
I see it now.
I think that maintenance on the
last
roof
day.
is important. We have to protect the asset that we do have.
I would feel comfortable putting another $37,000 thousand into the
I agree.
roof trust fund. Because it's an ongoing project.
I just don't see the initial article saying that it's going to be a 10-year project.
I didn't, I don't know if they necessarily say that in the warrant articles.
Yeah, well, I think this one was, I don't know, I won't swear to it that it actually states that in the warrant article, but that's the way it was proposed because it was, I believe the estimate was $370,000 to do the roof, so.
And
Article 5 in 2011.
Article 5 on page 3 of 2011.
Yeah. And that kind of correlates with the year it was set up.
See if it was. Had that been the first time, and I know I've read it, if that hadn't been the first time we put monies aside for that, is it? The roof had been done before that,
But probably not through a trust fund.
not through a trust fund.
Or a
Okay.
capital reserve.
Yep.
But it doesn't state 10 years.
No.
It does not. So I'm just,
In the warrant article, yeah, the warrant article, but that was the
Intent of it.
intent, that they were gonna, 37,000 would be put into a warrant article for the next 10 years.
Okay.
If you look at last year's warrant article 10, the way it reads is that it's going to be added to the trust fund that's already been established.
right, yeah.
13.
But there's, what page is that on, Andrew? What article?
Article number 10 on page 4.
Okay.
I just would hate to see the entire roof replaced within 5 years, and not needing to replace any more and still appropriating money when you have 20 or 30-year shingles up on the roof that should be warranted.
Well, they do metal too. That's even more.
I think they're doing metal.
Over the kitchen.
Over the kitchen, the rest of it is gonna be
That's
asphalt.
all.
Yeah.
They
And
came up
Article
with
8 on.
$370,000 back in 2011,
That's what they calculated then.
based on someone giving them an estimate to replace all the roofs on the school. So that's why they came up with that number to do over a 10-year period.
Okay.
All right, so,
Can I ask one more question on that roof fund? Those projects, the RFPs go out every year, right? So other competitive bidders can
Right.
come in and,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
okay.
goes out to bid every time.
I would think it has to.
Well,
If it's gonna be over 5,000, it has to.
It does.
it should.
It should.
I guess my logic was if you're basing the 375 on one person's quote, there's other competitive bidders.
Nice change.
Right. Okay.
So we're gonna go ahead with adding
So-
37,000 to the warrant article.
Right, we should probably do these by motion?
Sure.
Can I have a motion to add 37,000 to the school roof trust fund?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The next,
School disability.
school disability.
I think we decided in our budget talks to do the 20,000 in here, is what we decided is the budget. We put the ghost students in, but the goal, when the article was written, to have $100,000 in the reserve, knowing that one student could eliminate that very quickly.
But, no, we have almost 81 in there,
Yep.
and we just put,
20,000.
Last year, 20.
no,
Did we
How much?
get 81 in there?
no,
We had 8793 when we did our warrant article, when we did our budget, so I knew. That's why we
Well,
said that,
I would've thought, I thought it was way less than that, that's why we wanted
Yeah.
to bring it up.
Because how much did we add already into the budget?
On,
This year?
we added, wait a minute.
No, wait a minute.
Two,
on November 30th of this year, there was 20,000
Yeah,
more
no,
put
no.
in.
This,
2 years ago, there was only $10,000 appropriated.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking
Got
about
it.
the budget that we just did. We added, was it, we added a we added,
$45,000.
45.
I was
because
gonna say 40.
We added
40, I mean, 40.
40 and
$40,000.
20 is what we decided on, is that right?
Correct.
Okay, so the 40 that we just put into the budget,
Is not part of this number.
so that would put it up to 100 and
No,
almost
no, no,
100.
no, that, the two different things. The bottom line budget is one thing, this trust fund is something totally different.
That's correct.
I understand that. But combined,
But combined, we don't know what children are coming in next year, we don't know what placements we have.
Right, but our goal was
I get-
100,000, right?
Yes.
right, but with the 40 that we put into the budget just
That's
last week or the
That's
week
the,
before.
that's the operating budget.
We did that
Precisely.
because.
But if you put the operating budget and the trust fund to add them together, we're up to almost 121,000?
Which we
The
probably will need,
operating
'cause-
budget doesn't go
is it
into the
and?
capital, does not go into the
and
trust
it
fund.
said that she.
I understand that.
And it said that
But
she
I'm
was not.
adding the two of them together with the idea that we would have.
You're talking
shooting for
because
100.
the goal was 100,000, that's why you're
Right.
saying that.
Right.
But it won't hit the trust fund.
No, even if it doesn't get used, it goes back to the town, it doesn't go to the trust fund.
Right.
What's in the operating budget?
That's right,
That's
it doesn't
right.
go back to the trust fund, so to get
I
the trust
understand.
fund where we want it, we need to add to it.
Then we'll be at it.
And
Via
then
the-
we'll be
via the
at it.
warrant article.
Because say we don't spend the 40 that we added as the ghost position, that goes back to the tax rate,
Right.
it doesn't go back to the trust fund.
So what you're saying is we add another 20,000, we'll be at 100,000.
That's right. And then after that, next
But
year,
I was
we'll
under the
have to
impression that
reevaluate
80,000 wasn't that high. I don't remember that number being that high.
But I guess that's what my point is. If with the operating budget and the trust fund, do we really need to put any more in it to this year, or can we let that go till next year?
I think we should, because we asked Ann to lower that number, because she had it as two
She had
positions,
two.
and she had it as two, and we reduced it to one, and said we
And cut it
put
in half.
half of it in the budget and half of it in the
Correct.
warrant article, is what we told her.
And this warrant, the trust fund itself is more for emergency
Yeah. And I-
coverage
Was it
as opposed to.
$20,000 we added to the budget, and then $20,000 here?
We put one ghost in the budget at $40,000,
Okay,
and we originally had two in there, and we took out
At-
one
at
and
80.
decided to put 20 into the warrant article, which would put us at the 100.
I'll make a motion to create a warrant article for $20,000
Well, you-
to be appropriated for that.
I'll
No,
second.
no, no, no. The warrant article's already been created.
We're
I
still
don't
To
gonna-
add.
You still gotta,
Add.
you still gotta
Add.
create an article for the warrant.
Oh, I just didn't want to be confused that this is something new.
20,000?
Yeah, that was my motion, I believe. If I got through it, I don't know.
So we put a ghost in the operating budget for 40.
Correct.
We put-
There's a sep,
Hmm?
no, I'm waiting for a second, or my motion will
There's a
die.
second already.
I already seconded.
Oh, good, thank you.
You know, you think, I'm just concerned with,
This, during the budget seasons that I've sat on, since 2008, this here was designed to take care of unexpected costs. Anything that came to our district out of the blue. And in an emergency situation, which could be one placement, could drain it.
right.
But that's why this trust fund was set up. The operating budget was every day, every year,
Right.
what we understand we'll be spending.
I'm I'm just thinking with between all the warrant articles. We have a couple of large ones coming in this year. Or potentially large ones coming in this year, or just
I think
thinking,
if we hit our target of 100,000, perhaps next budget season, we wouldn't have to
We can
ask for
take a
that
reprieve for a
20,000.
year.
On that particular one.
Mm-hmm.
but that's what between the operating budget of 40 and the trust fund of 80, that gives us 121. Could we get by with 100 between the two, understanding that the money in the operating budget doesn't go to the trust fund, it goes back to the tax? I get the whole thing, but I'm just saying, with the balance of the other warrant articles, one being the parking lot and another being security, those being probably large numbers, could we rely on the 121 this year?
It wouldn't be 121,
It'd be 80.
it'd be 80, 81 almost. If you don't put the 20 in.
I'm talking about adding the 40 that we put into the operating budget
Okay.
and the 80 that's already in the trust fund. The 40 and 80
I get you.
is 121. With, that's what my point is. The goal was 100, we stand right now with 121. With the other warrant articles that we're gonna be getting into, being one parking lot security, could we possibly,
I don't think we're gonna know that until we get to the other ones and have firm numbers on them.
that's what,
Can we ask
What do you,
principal superintendent?
what do you feel comfortable doing?
Well, we had a lengthy discussion on this when we were working on the operating budget, and the board had decided to put the 20 into the warrant article, because we originally had two ghost positions in at $80,000. So, I'm comfortable, I would be more comfortable with putting $20,000 as a warrant article to give us the $100,000 to meet the target. This is one area that one student could drain both the operating budget and the fund. So, I thought we had this discussion.
I thought we've already had it too.
Well, we did, but
Right,
I
but-
get what Steve's saying, though.
right, I wasn't, for some reason, I was thinking there was more along the lines of 60,000 that was in the trust fund.
I think we should hit our target goal as soon as we can, and then that way we don't need to keep going to the
Yeah, I
taxpayer.
honestly, I thought it was 60,000. I don't know if it was 60, but I didn't think it was 80.
No.
Because I didn't think we were gonna make it this year.
Right, that's why we were concerned
Oh, see,
in
that's the only
putting
reason
that money into the operating budget.
And see, that's the only reason I agreed, because I saw this and I knew we were gonna make our target this year.
Is it 80,000 on that list?
80,793
Did that
Is-
sound right, Andrew?
is what
Yeah,
I
that's
got
what I-
when we got, as of October 31st.
Right,
This
so
is
I
what we
gave you
got
out
for
the
budget
budget meeting.
season.
I missed something there myself. So, I get it.
Do you got that?
Yeah, I get that now.
Move the question, Mr. Chairman.
I just, what I would like to see is maybe put this,
Point of order.
table this till we get through the rest of them.
You tabled it before after I said move the question, Mr. Chairman. Point of order would be move the question.
Well, then I'll be voting no on it then.
You're calling the vote?
Motion it.
Motion made and seconded.
Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? And I'll be opposed. School generator, we're not doing that, turn that back to the town.
The architect and the propane were all closed out.
Yeah,
Cool.
school architect, need that,
Do you need that?
yeah. It's been closed out anyway. Actually. It's $1.93 in it.
Well, are we gonna need architect?
That trust fund has been closed.
Okay.
You have to re-establish a new warrant
Okay.
article to open it up
Just
again.
asking.
Full propane tank, that's all set. Technology. We're all set, we should be all set there
That's
too.
gonna be 67,
Right, from
65
the-
sevens
from
already
the
going in,
product.
right?
That's in our operating budget.
The school sprinkler, we're all set on, that's all been taken care of, correct, Andrew?
I believe so.
I believe we took care of that
All set,
already.
right?
Which one did you go to?
We've gone through a couple of the technology, we're all set, the sprinkler, that's all been taken care of, so
So-
now we're on the,
What is that balance for? Just maintenance?
Well, you have two options. You could close out the trust fund or put a warrant article to transfer money to another trust fund.
And if it was left in there and something malfunctioned, we could utilize that money for repair.
yeah, I would think that would probably just be better left alone. Oh, wait a minute, you're on,
For just sprinklers?
oh, wait a minute, you're on the sprinkler.
Yeah.
I thought we were talking technology.
No, because this amount is in our operating budget.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
no, I was on sprinkler.
What would we use that money for if we needed it? What can malfunction with that?
Any pipe can
Pipe
freeze
can
and break.
burst or
right?
freeze
Well,
or
they can-
whatever.
They can rust, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they can rust, but if power
Well,
went
but-
out for an extended period of time and
could freeze
the whole
too.
building froze, then
But that was all, we had problems with the sprinklers, and that was all just taken care of. So I wouldn't think we would need anything to take care of, because that was all just all replaced.
unless we have an extended freeze with the power out.
You know, it'd be way more than $3,500.
Mhm.
But that would be a start.
Not much of one. All the pipes froze?
Can you, check with Bob on that, Andrew?
See his thoughts on that?
Yeah. Because my understanding of it was that we had issues with it. They thought there was a rusting, there was a problem apparently with the actual material that was used. They were trying to see if they could look into getting some money back on a warranty because they were having issues with it. But it's my understanding that that's all been taken care of, just as of in the last year or two. So,
On the 31st of March, 2012, by the looks of it.
So we want to check with Bob to see what his thoughts are?
I would think so, that we may not need to, keep that 3,500 in there. The boiler,
I think there's enough in there to either replace the boiler or do the loop at that 37.8.
What were what were the estimates that Bob gave you? For the,
Twenty-
he hasn't got the tie-in, but what was it?
27,000 for the boiler.
And the
20,
time-
28.
The time will be a lot less than that.
Yeah.
Well, we received an estimate of 38.
For a
Oh, okay, a number of 38, let me
For the
clarify.
tie-in?
Yes,
No way.
I'm just,
So in that case, it's more affordable to put a propane boiler down there in case one of them, okay, so that would be a,
no, I still think we'd be better off
With the loop.
with the loop.
Me too.
If you can go down from 3 plants down to 2 plants, you're saving money.
I do understand that, but if it's gonna come in at $38,000,
It
it's
ain't.
more cost effective to put another efficiency boiler in there, and I understand that it won't. So are we saying that we don't need to put money in this year?
Yes, I would agree that we don't need to put money in that.
Should we ask the experts too, for their advice?
Well, these boiler people,
Well,
They're budgetary people.
yes.
Based on the estimate that was provided for us for replacing the boiler at $28,000, and 37 will cover it.
I think we can,
And that's just us, that you go out and do a bid, you might come in with a better price.
You probably,
Absolutely. Well, I can't see where a loop would cost more than 10, really.
Do we have to vote to not put money in one?
no.
Nope.
Is all the abatements of the asbestos done?
Yes, that's all done, but and renovations.
Right, if
Would
we-
would that include what the discussion was on the primary wing for last year? Or would that be a different warrant article?
No, that's the reason if you recall, when the first phase of the asbestos was done, they did it out of the year-end fund balance. So the money you didn't use, we had to return to the taxpayer, to the tax rate. So the next year, they decided to do it as a trust fund, so we keep adding to it. And it's not just for asbestos removal, that's why we added the word renovation, so when you do the primary wing, you could add whatever amount of money you need to this $8,000. So say if you wanted to put up, this would cost you $100,000, you only have to add 92, because you already have 8,000 in there. So this was set up to do any renovations in the school, that's why we changed the wording, so it wouldn't be just
Just for the asbestos?
just specifically for the asbestos.
It's for any and all
Right,
renovation?
if you wanted to add carpeting or retiling,
How,
if you recall, last year, they wanted to put another $100,000 in this warrant article.
Right.
And
Well-
then and after the incident in Connecticut, they took it out of here and put it in as a security warrant article.
Well, right, because they actually wanted to do the renovation to the primary wing.
Right.
Right.
That's what we put in for the CIP list for $100,000. Renovations of the primary wing.
That was put in the CIP?
Yep.
which hasn't been approved by anybody.
Correct.
Right.
It hasn't been done by anybody yet?
And that was so, I just wanted you to know that was the amount that we had submitted. CIP was $100,000 for renovations of the primary wing.
And to me, I mean, that looks like one of those peanut in a shell game kind of things, smoke and mirrors. But I mean, renovations gives you a pretty broad range of spending.
So let's see.
Do we have any renovation projects?
Primary wing.
Which is, I mean, what does that entail? I guess that's my question.
It entails replacing all the bathrooms, flooring,
Cabinetry.
It's a total renovation to
Right.
upgrade it?
Knocking down walls.
no, not knocking down any walls.
Good.
As long as we keep you away from it.
building walls.
Yeah. With the parking lot and security, I don't know if we can, do we really wanna?
Jerry, does it seem like it's important to renovate anything in that primary?
If I were gonna prioritize, I would rather put our eggs in the basket for putting a parking lot in, instead of trying to create, a division between voters.
Right.
I think it'd be more important to address that part of the project.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Well, and security.
Insecure, well, yeah, I mean, the upgraded security, again, my primary thing this year would probably be, I mean, we've done a really good job with security, and I think there's certainly more to do, in time. My preference would be to really address this parking lot. That feels like, to me, right now, that feels like that'll be the biggest sticking point with these warrant articles.
Well, it is because of the number.
Yeah.
With, I think it's a lot more than people are expecting. But I do think that the security is also important.
It is.
You know, when you buy a house lot, and you're gonna build a house, you might buy a house lot for $10,000 or $15,000. You don't expect to spend just $10,000 or $15,000 building a house.
Yeah, but we're not building, the problem is we're not building a house, we're trying to establish a parking lot.
With drainage and lights and,
But it's, you gotta talk apples to apples, you can't talk about building houses and creating a parking lot.
But $300,000, Rob?
and I'm talking about, I don't agree with those numbers. I think those numbers will come in substantially lower once the competitive bidding process is done. But, you know, I'm talking about a project. You buy a raw, whether it was a raw piece of land or a developed piece of land, you buy that for an X amount of money. You do intend to spend probably more than you invest in the parcel itself to reach your goal.
Right, but I totally agree. But the problem is that we got blindsided with a $500,000 number.
I think that was just a
And when-
guesstimate, and we
really-
didn't have to accept that. I mean, there's
No.
someone can come and say it's gonna cost $1 million,
Yeah,
or
that-
someone gonna come and
that
say
was
it's
a
gonna
figure
cost
thrown out there that was-
$100,000.
that
That's
was
just a
way out
figure
of
in the
whack.
air.
Absolutely,
We don't have-
and therein lies the problem.
We don't have any substantial numbers
Well,
to say that that's what that's gonna be.
I mean, we already knocked off
Two
half
hundred
of that.
thousand.
But-
We've already knocked
200,000.
off 200,000 of it.
one of these bids
Doesn't
was,
include a heck of a lot.
well, it's 470, 365. So it's 30,000 away from $500,000.
But that's doing the whole encompassing of that.
Yeah.
And I don't,
Just so that,
But wasn't that 500,000 one even added stuff around the building?
yes, going around
The
the,
whole thing, right?
which the 470
and doing the
does.
road
Yeah.
in front, which is a town road,
Bless you.
Thank you.
you know,
But,
doing the existing parking
but the
lot.
300,000 wasn't part of that.
No, that's just
Just
for
the
the
lot.
lot.
I think it's something that we need to really sit down and make up a plan of what we want to do. I think it's hard to throw a number at the public. I mean, you know, without really good, really good solid bids, when do these have to be in by?
January 14th.
Well, before that, because our meeting's before then.
Oh, that's correct.
Actually, you probably don't want to get any bids until the voters have approved a certain number to spend.
Well-
And then you have.
Can we get estimates instead of bids?
I know,
mean,
because if they know that it doesn't take a rocket scientist for a contractor to look and say, oh, they approved 300 grand, so I'm gonna come in at 298.
That's where,
If it was my approach and I had nothing else to do besides that, it would be grade it, get it to subgrade so that it's ready for paving. If the voters don't want to pave it this year, that would be a separate article. Do you want to spend X amount of money developing the parcel? And then do you want to spend X amount of money paving the parcel?
I just really think that the demolition could be done
Cheapo.
so much for, and we have,
and I think it needs to be broken down into, so we can understand it a little better.
I do.
Right. So,
Because
does the town want to spend $70,000, $80,000 in development of the parcel so it's prepared for pavement? Does the town want to spend $200,000 on paving X amount of
Yeah,
square
that's a very
footage?
good way to do it.
And then the voters can decide. Because if they say, we don't want to spend $80,000 developing to subgrade,
I just don't want to be in the same situation, and I feel like we kind of are. It's like we're buying a piece of land before the voters even say that they'll put a school on it. It's like we're going back in history again, because, you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
It's like sometimes you put the cart before the horse, and it's going to get messy, and it's like we need to have a
Did
plan.
that happen?
Yes, and can I
Yes.
ask a question when you bring that up? I mean, that is a huge thorn in a lot of
It
people's
is,
sides.
because we spent
Is
a
it-
lot of money on a piece of land, and then the town voted down the school.
Well, it was only $250,000.
$250,000 is still a lot of money.
That's the one behind the
Yes.
playhouse, yeah.
That's a
So
lot of
My
money.
new question is, can we create an article for the warrant that asks the town taxpayers to put that parcel up for sale if it's not gonna be developed into school land?
Mhm.
And take the money and invest it in,
And invested in this building,
is that a legal maneuver?
because why are we
Yeah,
holding
haven't
on to that
heard of
piece of
such.
land?
And there was, at the time, there were people who wanted to conserve as much.
No, nothing.
No?
You don't know anything about that, do you?
No.
I do.
You're gonna have to do some research.
The-
A few
the,
years
uh,
ago,
I know
you can
about a
tell 'em.
donated piece of land.
No,
Was it?
Yeah, that's what,
It was
Donated to-
rejected.
that was rejected
It was
land.
rejected. Taxpayers didn't want to deal with Acton and Milton Mills.
Yeah, I
But this
understand.
other
The
piece of property is a totally different piece of information. If it's off of Rhines
It
Road.
is on Rhines Road.
It's on Rhines Road.
You've got railroad tracks, on one side of it, a river, wetlands, steep slopes.
Who owns the property?
The town, the school
The
district.
school district does.
The town raised and appropriated enough money to buy it at the top value. And the push was, we don't want to develop it into house lots because then you have more costs with fire and police. So let's buy the land and kind of,
So we own a
Put
piece
it
of
into a
property
land
other than
trust.
the one that Paul's school
A
sits on?
huge
Yeah,
piece of property.
yeah.
And I-
That was gonna be the high school,
That
right?
was gonna be the high school, or they were gonna formulate it into some other building.
yeah. It's about.
So could you please do a little research?
When was that? How long ago?
That was probably 10 years ago.
It
Who
was
was,
more- it was
it
more than
was
that.
Mr. Fogg, Mr. Brown, and it was that, I think that was at that board. And they were making the decisions to move forward with education. They
Not this
really
Mr.
were. Not
Fogg.
you, Mr. Brown, a different Mr. Brown.
And not this Mr. Fogg.
And not that Mr. Fogg either, a different Mr. Fogg. Welcome to Wakefield.
We're all sisters.
But if we could look into that, because if we could put that piece of property up for sale and we could utilize those monies,
Well,
Could that happen?
the voters need to approve
the
the
voters
sale of
need
it
to approve
first.
it. But if you could sell that piece of property and take the investment from that and put it into this,
That'd be the way to go.
it would be the way to go because it's
Okay,
just
but-
sitting there.
but question,
You said
if,
Rhines Road?
Mhm.
Rhines Road, yeah.
if you were
I get
to
you
put
tax
that
map.
piece of property up for sale and sold it, would that money not have to go back to the taxpayers at that point?
Not if they designate it by warrant.
If we put a
article.
warrant article asking to sell it and to have the proceeds go
It has to be specific.
towards construction and renovation
That would cover it.
of Paul
We
School.
might not get 500,000 today.
You might not, but
Well, no.
you might have enough to do that and do the wing, and then look at this and say, you can look at it a whole different light if you've got $300,000 in the bank.
Do we have any approximate how
No idea we
wide?
got another piece of property. Andrew nor Jerry.
You didn't either? Do we still own it?
Yes, oh, yeah, we do.
Who pays the taxes on it?
Nobody, it's
We don't have
tax-free.
school. Talking about the school.
Do we have any idea approximate the size of it?
You're,
Yeah, I
you're
think it's
gonna
27
remember,
acres.
because
27 acres?
I think so.
you two may remember, because we had the ATV club come in. And this might be before you, Andrew, but we had to, they asked permission, because if you go home by the town waste department, if you turn right at the Poor People's Pub,
Mhm.
you see that the train tracks go all the way down. That track right before you turn to go to the waste management facility, if you go in back of that blue house, all the way up is all the land.
How much land is it?
A
It's
lot.
about 27 acres, I think.
That's
Enough for high school.
and I think that's
Really?
that's what Wakefield was thinking, or junior high, further elementary school. Not 100% sure, but you might remember that the ATV club came in and asked permission to utilize that land for a track, to go back and forth, and we had to go through legal to make sure that the kids could ride. The New Hampshire Trail Pass goes on the edge of that piece of property, and a lot of us supported it because we know how many of our kids would drive their four-wheelers to school. You can take the tracks just about anywhere, and you could get to the piece of property, you can get all the way to East Wakefield on it. And we thought it was a neat thing,
It's
thinking
illegal.
that if it was a high school, the kids could drive their four-wheelers.
It's illegal to drive your four-wheelers on the track.
I think what I
It
figured-
is, but onto the paths that's there,
Right, right.
it's legal.
Yeah,
Who's gonna tell?
27
I
acres.
will tell.
All right, so going,
The E.
Yeah, it's all deeded.
I think that's a great idea, though, to find out, if we can get rid of that.
I mean, I know that people are gonna be angry about it because they're
Oh, they
they're
might
the
be.
conservationists that don't think land should be developed. But that was more the scheme than it was to create a school building.
I would be interested in finding
That's
out
my
that,
opinion.
and maybe
That's
having
my
appraisal of that piece of property and seeing what it's worth, and maybe putting a warrant article in, asking people to consider,
Well, we know what we paid.
well, You don't, we gotta figure it out.
First I've heard of it.
Mhm.
Cindy Bickford at the assessor's office would give you all the information on that.
She comes back in tomorrow.
She's there, she was there.
She was there today.
Yeah.
She was on vacation.
All right,
Interesting.
so,
Yes.
for example, Article 1, election of officers, do we need to make a motion to, because that's gonna be on there, be put back on?
Are we done with these?
Standard language.
I believe we are. School land, we're not doing. Necessarily, I mean, I don't call it school land, but.
Is it 2 school board members for 3 years that are coming up?
I
Yes.
believe
Yep.
it's
It's gonna be
Is
you
it
and Norma.
2, yes, it is, yeah.
You and Norma.
Yeah. And I would encourage, I hope a dozen people sign up to run, I really do.
Not gonna happen.
It's time for the townspeople to step up.
Is there a 1-year term also, or is that,
No, you
No.
don't have any one-year terms.
that will come off then?
No, it would, if it's, replacing Miss Masato's seat, that would be a 1-year seat to expire with your term.
No, because that goes to this, it goes to the following election if someone is appointed.
You're looking at 11, Andrew.
So that seat you're referring to, because of the resignation, is has to go up for election this coming
For 3 years.
Mhm.
for 3 years.
Correct.
So that would be Norma's though.
That would be Norma's seat. My seat would generally expire in 14.
Okay.
No,
No.
yours
My-
expires in March at the election too,
Right.
because you were
Right, but
appointed.
I was replacing Priscilla, whose term expired
Resigned.
in 14.
Yes,
So,
that's a 3-year term coming up too then.
Well,
Right, so we took both 3-year terms.
Yep,
Right.
both 3 years.
right. All right, so Article 1's gonna be on, do we need to, make a motion and vote to put that back on there?
No, it's a reoccurring.
All right, Article 2 is not gonna be there.
actually,
Why-
you would want to amend Article 1 to say to choose 2 school board members
Yep.
for the ensuing 3 years.
Well,
That's what it says.
that's what it says.
And then
Where are we at?
edit D, but you guys are
Oh,
gonna
you're
take care of
looking at-
that, right?
I'm looking at
Right,
11,
yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
Once they're all written, I'll send it into the state, I'll turn it, they approve it, and make any changes to the wording that needs to be made.
Yeah, and Article 2 will move forward with what we've got approved for the budget this year?
Yeah, so that's not gonna be in.
Why would that not be in?
Because it's a 3-year deal.
Well, you're on a different year than me. You're on
Oh,
12, I'm on
I'm sorry,
13.
which one are we
We
looking
all
at?
should be looking at 13.
13.
All right, let me move around.
Or you have something to go into powers if there's any,
If we do anything with negotiations, we'd have that article.
Oh,
Well,
And we're in
Right, but as of-
negotiations now, we're in
but-
open negotiation.
but as of right now, we don't, and if it comes in afterwards, it would have to wait till the following year.
would the CBA allow that to wait till the following year?
It depends.
Well, but these are
Depends on
current
how
negotiations.
go.
That's not in the,
Timely.
so as of right now, Article 2 will not,
Well, you'll still have an Article 2, it would just be different.
well, right, the numbers, there'll be no, I'm just going for this as far as,
So do you want to place the operating budget in Article 2 like they did the previous year in 2012?
you don't have to be concerned about the numbers, we'll take care of
well,
that.
right,
Okay.
yeah, the numbers are gonna change, but.
And it comes
I'm
to
just-
us for approval before we,
Right.
because we're not even done. We want to know about the land and stuff.
Right.
It has to go to the
Right,
budget
like I
committee.
said before, it goes to the attorney and to the state for their approval before we even post it.
Article 3 will be there.
For a version of it, yeah.
Right.
No, Article 3 is only
No.
there if you have the collective bargaining agreement.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's right, I was thinking, yep, okay.
Same with
So
Article 4 and 5.
Article 4 is out, Article,
5
same
is-
with Article 5.
Article 6 could
Article
become
6
Article
will be
2.
there.
That could become Article 2, right?
Yeah, the numbers are gonna change, I'm just going by last year's and just going to make sure we're covering ourselves.
Then the SAU budget afterwards. What the heck is that?
And that'll be
Yeah.
a much simpler warrant article for next year.
Scary.
So Article 6 and Article 7 will be in there, because one's for the default budget.
Article 8 could be struck.
That doesn't matter yet.
Yeah, Article 8 is out.
Give me my alarm. It's my alarm clock.
They come up.
Article 9 will most likely be there.
Did you see them?
I didn't see or heard it.
For the same reason, security,
Mm-hmm.
the same amount.
No, we have to still discuss that.
No, we haven't discussed security yet, have we?
Article 9 will be there, Article 10 will remain, Article 11 is gonna remain, and Article 12 will be gone. Article 13 is out.
Should we review any of the other ones in the
Yes.
previous 2 years to see?
Previous, yes, let's look. What's 13? Article 1, Article, we're on,
Operating budget.
Yeah.
Where are you going to?
we're going back 1 year to 2012. So Article 1, Article 2 will remain. Article 3 will remain.
Well,
One's the default for the SAU. Article 4 will be struck. Article 5 will be struck at this point, I believe, and, well,
6 and 7 and
6 and
7.
6 and 7 are struck. Article 8 will remain.
9 becomes 20.
Article 9 will remain.
Are there any of these that we need to discontinue? Or close? Oh, you were gonna ask Bob.
The generator is gone, so
Yeah.
Article 11.
I'm asking Bob on the sprinkler system, what about the information, the technology one? You want to leave that there with the 2,400? I'm sure in the future you're going to be adding something to that warrant article.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think you should.
yep. We're gonna leave this, right?
Yes. Yeah. All right, so, Article 10 and 11 are struck, and Article 12 will be struck. That takes care of 2012. We go to 2011. 1, 2 will remain. Article 3 will remain, same article for the SAU. Article 4 will be struck. Article 5 will remain. Article 6.
Struck. Replacing
Yeah,
boilers.
Article 6 will be struck.
7
Article
struck.
7 will be struck. Article 8 struck.
Oh, no. Oh, yes, that's right. Sorry about that. What are we setting aside for the technology trust fund? Was there
No,
an
because
amount
we
of
had the
money?
67.5 already in the budget, and the
Yeah.
new computers were already put in the operating budget.
Yeah.
So we will keep that as a reserve, but we will not be utilizing adding funds. Is that right?
Yep.
And that Article 10 would be amended to 20,000, as written.
Right.
And what
Okay.
other things do we need to consider for putting in here?
Well, we need,
How to approach the development of the parking lot.
Development?
the parking lot and security.
Is there anything else they want us to consider?
We should probably also consider an article, if it's legal, to reverse the, put that other parcel up for sale and bring those funds into our,
Yes, the default budget and legal budget are in the same line.
our, would it be the school land fund trust?
So reversal of property sale on
It's
Rhines
the
Road?
parking lot and the security.
Okay,
Last year, you
so-
took, for this current year, you took the security warrant article out of the fund balance.
Right,
Out of the fund balance.
which was 100,000, right? They set it up for 100,000. And is that what you recommend to do the same if we're gonna appropriate any money?
What happens when you take it out of the fund balance, if you don't use it all, the remainder gets returned. If you do it as a trust fund, then it carries over. So it's what the board wants to do. They think that if security is gonna be an ongoing thing, you might want to consider doing it as a trust fund. So if you don't use all the money in the current year, you don't, it just rolls over to the following year, and you can either add to it or use what's in there.
Well, I mean, it's nice to turn money back to the town, but then you end up asking for more money the following budget
Right.
season. And as our budget process has been going in Wakefield for a number of years, the operating budgets are continuing to decrease. You know, the default budget the previous year seems to always be higher than the new proposed budget. At a certain point, that's gonna be, there won't be any money left over to turn back to the town. So, I don't know what the best approach is.
And if you follow the budget to the T, if you follow the budget to the T and you expend all the monies out of there, you wouldn't have the extra money to spend on security, is that correct?
Correct.
Well, you can't really follow the budget to a T because it's a bottom line budget. Things cost shift somewhere, one place or another, and the reason it's a bottom line budget is so that you're allowed to do that.
Mhm.
So everything as far as,
I think her question was, if there is no money left,
right,
you would not do that project.
right,
If we've got the budget right,
right.
would there be
Budget's right.
600,000 to return or whatever?
Well, if you say put $100,000 in security, there's only 75 left over, all you could put in there is 75.
Yeah.
But,
It's not that you can't, if it's not the full amount, doesn't mean you can't put anything in there, you can only put it up to the amount that
There's left over.
you have left over in the fund balance.
all right, so just to tie up some loose, you're gonna look into that land issue and find out how we could go about selling it and turning that money back to the school district? Okay,
Just keep in mind, if you do a warrant article saying you're gonna sell the land, getting the town's permission to sell the land, and put the money into renovating the school, and it fails, you can't renovate the school with any of the money,
Would you,
because the warrant article failed.
So how would you word that?
Well, that's, we have to find out from the attorney,
Yeah.
or the state, how, the best way to put the warrant article forward.
DRA would tell you, or the town, I
Okay,
mean.
so are you
So
waiting
what
to
if
talk
they-
about this in non-public? Is that why you moved that?
yes, because we need to,
Yes, okay.
although
That's 'cause I just
although
didn't
we
know why you
don't
shifted
have,
security, so he-
we actually don't have firm numbers to really, we can discuss it, but we don't have any.
anything to discuss.
Huh?
We don't really have anything.
So what would you
No,
all
we don't.
recommend for security? What would you recommend that we do?
Or the ongoing fund.
Ongoing fund?
Mhm.
And how much this year?
That I don't have a number for.
So we would have to set up a capital reserve fund to create a trust
Mhm.
and designate words specific to the security issues at the Hall School.
And I don't think it would have to be a lot. you could build off of it year after year.
And set a goal, how much we want
And set a goal, so you don't come in high
Right.
right off
I
the
think
bat.
we're,
Is $20,000 enough a year if the film itself? Okay, all right, yeah, okay, he wants to, okay.
no,
I'm
I
sorry.
think, we didn't wanna be kind of
I'm
vague.
sorry, yep, I'm sorry.
But I think what we've already discussed,
That's my specialty.
I think what we've already discussed, we're probably looking at something quite a bit larger
Mhm.
for security.
But probably,
We didn't
Half as
discuss
much as
windows either. You were talking about replacing windows, getting an estimate to replace windows.
Well, right, that security's driving that issue,
But is our,
but that's what we gotta find.
if you, and I know you have to be a wholesaler to get the windows, to talk to the company, I know that you're a wholesaler, and there are wholesalers around that can get you into that corporation to talk to them. Do those windows come already filmed? And if that's the case, if you get the windows already filmed, or if you can get the glass already filmed, I mean, maybe that's an estimate we need to be looking at. And you need to get a wholesaler, if you have to if you have to go to Applicator Sale or whatever, or talk to a different company to get in on that, then you have to call it, you have to make those phone calls, because if we're talking about redoing sections, if the windows already come that way, that's gonna be one price compared to having the replacements done, and, I mean, I don't know how good the insulation is and how old the windows are, and maybe it's time that those, and I'm not saying that the bid that we got isn't correct, but if, I think from a wholesaling point of view, the difference you would get, and if they're already made with that on it, it's gonna be a different bid.
I think wholesale, and the difference between wholesale and retail is every year you're buying something. I think they would consider this more of a retail project because it's kind of like
It
a
might be unless you
one-time
go through a
purchase.
wholesaler like local people in town that have wholesale accounts, and they can get those. And then you sub the labor out.
All right, so I think as far as security goes, we don't have all the firm numbers in, so I think we can put that off to the 18th at this point. Because we can't, even if we go into non-public, we don't really have the numbers, so we're gonna still be having to deal with that in another non-public session.
So you're
Probably on the
saying
18th.
we shouldn't talk more about security in a non-public tonight?
We need to.
I don't know
Not
if we-
necessarily money, but we need to go into non-public for a little while.
We can, but I'm just saying, I think.
I have actually a few comments and maybe even suggestions of what I heard.
All right, then we can do that. I'm just saying, we're not gonna be able to make a decision on it
No, I
tonight,
agree
because
with
we
that.
don't.
I agree.
Okay, so now let's deal with the parking lot. What are people's thoughts there? Right now, we're looking at, what, 300,000?
And see,
More or
that's
less.
tough, because you have us coming into this, and we got none of the information that you guys had until tonight.
Don't
You have it
shoot
now,
the
though.
messenger.
I'm not shooting the messenger, but it's hard for us to come in and discuss this as a board when we don't have the information we need.
It was my understanding, because we were gonna be discussing warrant articles, is that everyone was gonna get the information.
Okay.
I'm sorry that
This one.
2 of you did not get it, but
I don't know if you want to do either, so we have to do 3.
But, I mean, that's what we got to deal with at this point as far as the parking lot. We have the engineer estimating the existing parking lot at 300,000. And then we have, the GMI proposal for 210, but that doesn't include,
Existing parking lot.
the light poles and wiring of 40,000, and I would say it probably does not include the lawns and landscaping of 15,000 either. Well, it does have reloaming of disturbed areas in grass establishments, so does that, I don't know, probably,
When they say based on single mobilization, I can only imagine that means we're coming in, we're gonna do it all at once. Is that correct?
and where are you seeing that?
Last line here, right here.
Well, but see, that's the other part, I'm looking at area one, the new parking lot. Area two is the existing parking lot. I wouldn't be in support of doing anything there. The roadway and the sidewalk, yes, but
Isn't this like sitting down and really like doing a spreadsheet and see what's apples to apples and figuring out what the best cost-effective way to do it is? This is why I was asking, what's the process? What do we expect the outcome to be? And just because they write it, I mean, contracts and proposals are negotiable for a reason.
but this is what we've received to this point.
But it hasn't gone out for bid, these are just proposals, right?
Exactly, and you really.
And this one is really brief.
And you asked about the process. The formal process would be to put it out to bid, vote on a bid, and put that into a warrant article.
Okay.
Really? It wouldn't be,
Right, but-
find out
but-
if the taxpayers wanna spend any amount of money on it first and then put it out to bid?
Because the
You have to
bid,
put an amount in there.
but if you put it out to bid, that bid's not gonna be any good come July 1, unless they agree, which I highly doubt they would.
So Harriman did, and this is me, Harriman did a plan. We paid $4,500 for this plan. That plan got taken by Mr. Adams to these two companies, and these two companies came back with these bids.
My understanding of it is that this came back.
Have we seen it?
Because, yes, because see, here you got November 6th,
Uh-huh.
and this came back
Monday.
November 25th. So
It
this,
wasn't a facilities committee meeting.
I don't know whether it was Mr. Adam, someone contacted
It
GMI
wasn't a facilities committee.
and
meeting.
asked them for
That was
this.
decided.
This is what drove that $500,000
Or
number,
final.
this GMI estimate. That's what drove that 500,000. But that was an all-encompassing, Area 2, I don't think we need to do. Area 3, the road, I question that. The sidewalk does need some work.
And that proposal could increase if you're not doing the whole project, because they're probably basing it on doing all that work at the same time.
I think that's what the phrase based on single mobilization leads me to believe.
Well, based on single immobilization is in Area 2 and Area 3, but it doesn't say Area 1.
But it also says Area 3, well, maybe the Area 1 is the initial project they were trying to bid on. Then the additional projects would be Area 2, 3, and then the Area 3 on the backside of page 2. That's a whole,
I need clarification on this. I'm not gonna feel comfortable voting on a warrant article on just this information. It's so vague. I can't imagine asking the people for something that I don't even understand. I'm sorry, I know that's not what you wanna hear from me.
well, no, we know the process is that one boundary line has to be surveyed. We know that has to happen.
How is that gonna cost $6,000? Really?
And then we know that the buildings need to be removed, trees need to be removed, gravel, boulders, all that stuff. We know that has to happen before any pavement.
But do we have to have that as a whole?
Why
as a
can't that go
dollar
out
whole?
as a bid? Why can't that removal and the
should.
clearing of the
It
land
should,
be one bid?
it should.
Mr. Chair, can I ask the board what's your goal for completion of this project, time-wise?
It'd be nice to see something get going as of July 1.
after the voters approve it.
July 1
I
would
think-
be
I
after
think-
the voters.
I think
would-
it's the dollar figure that's
Yeah.
driving this, to make questions like what we're having.
Yeah, and the reason why I asked that is, do you feel that at this point we're rushing the process and not getting formal numbers?
I'm wondering why $4,700 hasn't been spent to clear the lot and at least get it ready.
Now you're using my numbers.
Well, whatever, or the 9,000. 9,000 is what I had, and I'm just wondering why that hasn't been cleared and prepped so that someone can come in and see the blank canvas and look at it and say, okay, this is what we gotta do, and this is how we're gonna tie it in, and we can do it this way. Or maybe that's what they're doing, and I'm just not seeing it because I'm not at those meetings. But I'm
I
not
don't think
getting,
we've gotten that far.
I'm not getting that clarification
So you're saying
sitting
take the
here.
buildings down and get the land ready to go?
Yeah,
It's first step.
first step, use the money
Building.
that they,
Building,
And
well,
shed.
who chose to leave buildings?
building.
Did we as a board decide to leave one of the
It's
buildings?
been proposed to leave one building.
Proposed.
The shed?
One, and then the other, move the other one over into the corner over there.
Okay, so that's one's a move, so you have some repositioning and demolition and clearing of one company's vision of what this should be. Do we have a vision of what we want? And if it is, why have we haven't seen it?
Well, I don't know if you could even go demolition, because you put the thing on the back of a trailer and tow it out of there.
Well, that's not always so easy, and sometimes it's easier to
I
knock it
didn't-
down. All
I
right, I'm
didn't
not,
say that.
I'm just,
I didn't say it was easy.
okay, I don't understand this process. I do, to a certain level. I don't wanna say I don't
You do.
understand it. I think we're not getting the information that we need in the level that we need it to make decisions. Like, if there's a site plan, like, if there's like some vision of what what the school wants, I wanna see that brought to us.
Can we ask for phases, broken down phases of this thing?
Well, that's what I think this was.
Yeah, but that's, I mean, they kind of lump a lot together for a phase.
Well, absolutely, and I don't believe, some of it don't agree with. Some of these phases.
Okay, so this needs to be like its own committee. This
Well-
whole process needs to be in its own committee. Or we need to meet on it more often.
Well, I think we need to bring, I think the facilities committee, and as we're working on it now, we need to bring updated information to the full board, which I don't think we've done yet.
Well, the difficult piece is trying to get real numbers.
I mean,
Right, all
I
we're
think
getting, Ralph,
Bonnie's-
is, all we're
Bonnie's
getting
looking-
is big numbers, that's all we're getting.
Bonnie's looking for the concept, the conceptual plan, right? Is that right?
What's the picture on the box look like? I wanna see the picture on the box.
Yeah.
And I wanna know several options on how to get there.
And that's what we had asked Harriman to do, is to put together the site plans and finalize those site plans in order to
That's
bring
awesome.
forward.
Did you guys see those tonight?
No, we have not.
I don't think we've.
And we pay for that.
Well, I wanna see them.
I don't
Can we
think-
get
I
them
don't
shrunk
think
down to
we-
our size so we can each have a copy of them?
So again, at that point, the board would approve a site plan. And then again, my thoughts are, at that point, once you approved a site plan, you'd put it out to bid, get a solid number, and that's what you'd base your warrant article on.
We're moving too fast and we don't have
That's the only way to
information
go,
to
I
do it.
think.
I am very, I'll be honest with you, I'm very uncomfortable with rough estimates when it
Yeah,
comes to
absolutely.
budgeting. And you'd want to formalize that process in order to make sure you
If the
have a
rough
solid
estimate was
number.
$50,000, that's a different story.
Right, exactly.
And
Well, then, we probably don't have any other choice but then to put the parking lot off till.
I think we need to stay on top of it. I think.
Oh,
we-
absolutely.
you know, there's no reason that we can't say, there's $4,700. If we told the taxpayers that we wanted $35,000 to get the plan, well, we have the plan, but say, and I shouldn't even throw out numbers, but we want monies to get it cleared and have a prospectus of what we're doing. And that's gonna take some money. We're gonna have to have some money to do that. But Harriman should have already, that's what we should have from Harriman. And it's just, it's too quick to,
What we had asked Harriman to do, the extent of their work is to provide that site plan, to
Mhm.
do the walk and provide the site plans, and that was it. That was the $4,500. from those site plans, again, the board would decide on what plan you would like to
Utilize.
see, or you might not want any of them.
So we paid half of that already.
Correct.
And we haven't actually received the final
No.
presentation.
So are
When
they
we
gonna
get
come,
those, they get the other half.
do they come to just you, or could we have it as a full board presentation? Why don't we
will
invite
come
them
to
that
us.
when it's done, we have full court press and we have everybody here and we can see what it is, so we all know that we're on the same page.
They will come to us.
Don't-
Like, whatever the board would request.
think
If
that
you want
would
a
be
full
best.
presentation, they'd be
you can ask
happy to
them
do
questions
that.
that way. So,
Yeah, I think the fee is large enough for them to be able to come into a regular school board meeting and give the presentation to the school board, to the public, you know, there's your sales pitch, here's what we come up with, you can option A, B, or C. And, that's what I expected, I don't know, I can tell you that I don't
Yeah.
believe anybody here that's on the facilities committee has made a final decision.
No.
Other
Not even
than-
close.
So I personally don't think that we're prepared to move forward this year. With all regret,
The way the warrant article reads for the land, you could actually add to it, because it says for site plans, improvements, and associated costs. We could
So-
verify that with the state, but I think you could add to that warrant article to do what you're talking about, to clear the land, and whatever money's left over, then will go towards,
the next step of it.
right.
So you're saying that we could create an article that would ask the taxpayers to add X amount of money to the land trust or the school land trust fund previously established?
I'll verify that with the state, but I think the way it reads right now, the warrant article, you could add money to it to do the site plan and,
Yeah, I'd be comfortable with that approach. You know, it's basically building the trust fund up so that when the real numbers are in, you know, and our real direction is decided upon,
and it
But the
thinks,
problem is, what's the number?
start with $50,000, start with $100,000.
That's my point.
Yeah.
We still don't know
Right,
what would it even cost to come in and do the simple clearing of the property.
yeah, that's,
I mean, you know, you got 90,000, you know.
I think.
are we asking for the wrong information?
No.
Are we?
Well, are we
what-
asking for, what is the simple clearing the land? Is it taking the building down, moving a building,
Right.
and clearing some trees? Is that it?
No.
In there?
It
No.
said
Taking the-
just,
It's
like,
cut and
one of them
gravel.
said, removal of the septic and the leach field.
Yeah.
But the other one was just so vague, it didn't necessarily say that.
Yeah.
So how do you know that that
There's-
would be included, capping the well?
There's,
And again, you would look at the site plan, and the site plan, and I'm not an expert
We don't have.
when it comes to this, you know, type of project, the site plan would dictate the phases of work that would have to happen.
Yeah. the
So-
extent.
So we need that.
So if you wanted to only do phase one, which might be just clearing the land, you would have a number for that based on a bid, and that's what you might add to your warrant article to start off with, or you put the full amount in there, or you determine on the phases to get to the ultimate
Yeah, we could do
end
phase
of the
one and
site
two and say we want to do
plan.
that one.
But you need to have solid numbers to put a warrant together,
Right.
in my
Yeah.
opinion, so you have something to explain.
So can you make a polite call to Harriman and ask them what their completion time is and when they can come see us?
I thought it was supposed to be the 25th, wasn't it? Wasn't it supposed to be the 25th of November?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
we might,
It's past time.
yeah.
So, I mean, thinking about
Could-
Mr. Jersey's approach, you know, you could logically ask
You have
to
that.
put more monies into this land trust, this land trust fund, the school land trust fund. And then if it was, say if it was 60 years, up to $100,000, we put that in there, it costs $30,000 to grade everything down to subgrade prior to bringing in your gravel and compactor. Then, you know, that leftover money can be used the next budget process for the
The
final.
The
budget.
problem,
phase.
right, but the problem with that is, people are gonna say, okay, you're putting X amount of dollars in, adding into the land
Trust, yeah.
land trust fund.
Yeah,
You're adding X amount of dollars.
right.
What is that X amount of dollars gonna, why are you asking for X amount of dollars in that warrant article?
My
To
response,
to do what?
you wanna know my response to that?
To do what, though?
Yeah, well, to do just as much as you can, but nothing short of bringing everything down to the subgrade, including the drainage, your culverts, your catch basins, and preparing the lot for paving.
How do you do that without a firm number?
Well, once the money's in the trust to spend, you go out and you get the bids, and then you take the, whatever good bid is.
You're missing my,
No, I think I know what you're saying. You're saying, how much is it gonna cost?
no, to go, to say, for this budget cycle,
Yeah.
and let's take $100,000. Don't you think anyone, well, why are you putting or requesting a warrant article, and just to use numbers, I'm not,
Yeah.
but why are you putting that $100,000 in that warrant article, and what are you gonna use that $100,000 for? And without being specific, I don't know how you answer that question.
I mean, specifically, you clear the lot, you bring it, you cut the gravel, you move.
I
the
get all
gravel
that
around.
part.
So you give them the specifics, you give them the answers, you just.
Well, I think
ask the
Steve's saying is,
questions for.
what if that doesn't cover that?
Right, but is it 90,000?
Well, that's why you
or
ask
is it-
for a number that you know will cover it, then you get your bids, and hopefully
So
you save money.
Right, so we won't go over, and then we have extra.
Right.
But
in-
is
in the
it,
trust
is
fund
it
stays solid.
$90,000?
I don't
I
know.
don't know.
I don't know, you know,
I,
is it 90, or is it 50, or is it 125?
I don't know. We don't have those figures. We don't have a
That's what
site
I'm
plan.
saying. How do you put a number in there?
We can't. And with all due respect to the people, we just can't. And we don't feel comfortable asking without all the details, so we need to have a phone call done, and we're gonna have to move forward with, once we get the site plan.
we do need to see the site plan.
So we need to see the site plan to move forward, so that's consensus, that's what we have to do. With all regret, that's what we have to do. Thank goodness the school is successfully running how it is. Could it be better, transportation-wise, in and out? Absolutely, but it's functioning. And if it has to wait regretfully a little while longer, it can. It's not what we want, but for some reason, maybe we just don't have
Well,
what
if
we need
we
yet.
can move it as fast as we can, if we get some information.
Mhm. You know, if we get information in the next week and they can come next week, call a special meeting. And we'll come in and watch the presentation and do the best we can to provide the best we can.
I think it's a good idea.
It's difficult to go on these numbers.
It is. I want to see the picture on the box, please. A big, nice one.
You want a choice of pictures on the.
I want multiple choices and groups.
And, I mean, I don't think we said do or die to Harriman, you know, I don't think we said that you don't provide it to us by a certain time, you know, you're not gonna get.
Well, no, but did they know that we were looking to put it in a warrant
Yes,
article this year?
absolutely.
So that, it's
They
a
could-
phone call, and it was a holiday, it's a phone call. I mean, Bob had papers rolled up here today. I don't even know if maybe those were them.
Those
Who
could have
knows?
been.
We don't know. We didn't ask him to stay, and that's our fault.
We'll find out.
We'll find out. That's all we can do.
Again, just reiterate the fact, choose the plan, put it to bid, get solid numbers on the phases, and that's what you know to develop your warrants.
Mhm. So we've done good by what we know right now.
And it's not a small project that you're talking about.
Oh, I know.
That's why it's a lot of discussion.
If it was Moose
It's
Mountain,
not small.
I mean, I would see, you know, a lot more difficulty, but it's
It's a school. You're adding on to the school is what it comes down to. And that takes a lot of thought, and it takes,
environmental considerations.
it has to be
legal.
well thought out, and you put numbers together, and there's monies involved,
Do we have
and
more?
it takes time.
I don't believe so. Do you have anything that you're looking for as far as the warrant article goes?
Yes, sir.
Make a
Anything
motion.
else?
Yes, sir.
All right, are we,
Can we make a motion to go into non-public?
well, that's what I was just gonna ask. Are we all through? Are we done with this and we can go into non-public?
I just would ask, maybe you can find out from Harriman how much time it would be before we can expect to see the plans,
And
or
we'll give them a call tomorrow.
Well,
We'd
yeah, I
actually like to
believe it
sooner
was
than later.
November 25th. Would it be would everyone, see if we can get Harriman to come on the 18th?
I think it should be before then.
Well, soon.
They can, you know what, and if they can come on the 18th, that's great, but I wanna see their packet, and I wanna study it before I come in this meeting.
I think it would be good to have it before the 18th. If
That
you're
would
gonna talk about a
be great.
warrant article on the 18th.
Thank you.
Well, the only problem with that is, those again aren't firm numbers, so you really couldn't go by what this proposal from Harriman.
No, but we could have,
No, we need the site plan to even choose a
Well,
direction.
absolutely, but that's still not gonna, I'm saying, I believe what I just heard is to try to have a meeting possibly prior to the 18th, so that, because we're dealing with the warrant article. I don't think you're gonna get that.
Yeah, I don't think you would have, you might be able to choose a site plan by then.
Absolutely, but as
to
far
get your
as
bids in,
numbers,
you won't have your numbers.
you're
by
not
the
gonna have
time
the
we're ready.
numbers, so.
Let's do step by step though.
Correct.
And so, yeah, as far as it was November 25th that I think we told them that we wanted it back, so they should be ready at any time to.
When you look at where these folks are based, they're considering the distance they're traveling to get here too, so, I mean, local contractors are definitely gonna be able to give you a better competitive bid on these things.
Where is this anyways?
one's in Londonderry and the other one's in
Belmont?
Belmont.
Where's Belmont?
Going towards Tilton,
Yes,
106,
Tilton.
is it 106?
On the other side of Guilford, I believe.
Who's, are you talking about these people?
Yeah.
GMI is,
Don't
and Harriman has a main number, but that might just be his.
All right, are we all set then? Hmm? All right, can I have a motion to go into non-public under 91A 2-3I, security?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Motion second, all in favor?
CRI.
Will that I?
Fog eye.
Brown, yes.